Let me ask you something honestly. How many times have you tried to lose body fat, followed the rules, cut the calories, hit the gym, and still felt like you were fighting your own body? Like there was some invisible force working against you? There is, and it's not your metabolism in the way you think, it's your nervous system. And once you understand what it's actually doing to your fat tissue, everything changes. Today we're going deep into the neuroscience of fat loss, and I promise you, at least 2 or 3 things I'm about to share are going to completely flip how you think about this. Not the tired, eat less, move more advice. Real, peer-reviewed science that most people have never heard of. Let's get into it. Before anything else, let's just be honest about the foundation. Calories consumed versus calories burned is still the core equation. Nobody gets to escape physics. If you consistently take in more than you use, your body stores the excess as adipose tissue, and that's just the truth. But here's what that equation misses. The burned side of that formula is way more flexible than most people realize. Your nervous system has the ability to dramatically crank that number up or down based on behaviors you can actually control. Now, here's something that blew my mind when I first came across it. Stanford researcher Aaliyah Crum ran a study with hotel housekeeping staff. She split them into 2 groups. One group was simply told that their daily work, changing linens, pushing carts, scrubbing rooms, already met the US government's guidelines for healthy physical activity. The other group wasn't told anything like that. Over the following weeks, the group that received that information lost measurably more body fat, showed better waist-to-hip ratios, and had improved cardiovascular markers. Same jobs, same food, same everything. Just a different belief about what their movement meant. That's your nervous system responding to perception. It's wild and it's real. But before we get to the advanced tools, there's a baseline you need to have dialed in, or none of this works as well as it should. Sleep is non-negotiable. When your sleep is off, fat loss stalls. Full stop. Get your light exposure right. Bright light in the morning, dimmer light in the evening, and protect your sleep like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. Beyond sleep, make sure you're getting enough omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA above 1,000 milligrams per day from sources like fatty fish or high-quality supplements. That level of EPA supports your metabolism and reduces cravings for sugar, partly because your gut neurons are actually seeking fatty acids and amino acids, and when they don't get them, they accept sugar as a substitute. So you can quiet a lot of those sugar urges just by giving your system what it actually needs. Also worth supporting, your thyroid. Your metabolic engine. 1 or 2 Brazil nuts a day delivers enough selenium to keep thyroid function properly supported without going overboard. And a few servings of fermented foods, kimchi, sauerkraut, whatever you're into, keeps your gut microbiome sharp, which connects directly to how efficiently your body processes and burns energy. Okay, foundation set. Now let's talk about what's actually happening when fat gets burned. Fat loss is a 2-step process. Step 1 is mobilization. You have to physically get fatty acids out of the fat cells and into the bloodstream. Step 2 is oxidation. Those fatty acids then have to get into the mitochondria of your cells and be converted into usable energy. If you only mobilize without oxidizing, the fatty acids can just float back and get restored. So you need both steps, and here's the part most people never hear. Your nervous system controls both of them. There are actual neurons, nerve fibers, that extend directly into your fat tissue and release epinephrine locally. Not the kind swimming through your bloodstream from a stressful meeting. Local epinephrine, targeted, released right at the fat pad itself. That changes everything about how we think about stimulating fat loss, because it means the right behaviors can flip on those nerve signals and literally tell your fat to release and burn. So what activates those neurons? Let's start with something so simple it almost sounds like a joke. Fidgeting. I know. Stay with me. Back in the 1960s and 70s, British researchers named Rothwell and Stock noticed something fascinating. Certain people could overeat consistently and never really gain weight. They weren't exercising more. They didn't have some magical metabolism. What they had was this constant, low-level physical restlessness. Knee bouncing, foot tapping, getting up quickly from a chair, pacing during phone calls, that kind of thing. When they measured the caloric expenditure of these people, the results were startling. Fidgeters were burning anywhere from 800 to 2,500 more calories per day than their sedentary counterparts. Studies from 2015 and 2017 back this up with modern metabolic tracking. people who deliberately tried to move more throughout the day, standing up more, pacing, keeping their body in low-level motion, saw 20 to 30% increases in fat loss even without changing their diet or formal exercise routine. This is what scientists call NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And it works because those small, subtle movements trigger epinephrine release from those local nerve fibers, which then kicks off mobilization and oxidation of fat. Not because of the calorie burn from the movement itself, but because of the neural signal it sends to your fat tissue. So if you're working at a desk for hours and you're barely moving, you are essentially putting your fat loss machinery to sleep. Wake it up, bounce your knee, stand up and pace for a few minutes every hour. It sounds almost embarrassingly simple, but the data is serious. Now let's talk about cold. And I want to be really specific here because most of the advice you've probably heard about cold exposure and fat loss is actually backwards. Your body has different kinds of fat. White fat is what most of us think about, the stored kind, sitting under the skin. Brown fat is metabolically active, packed with mitochondria, and can convert energy into heat directly. It's like a furnace inside your body. And then there's beige fat, which is sort of white fat that hasn't fully committed. It can become brown fat under the right conditions. Exposure to cold is one of those conditions. A study published in the journal Nature showed the exact mechanism. When you get cold and you shiver, that shivering releases a molecule called succinate into the bloodstream. Succinate activates brown fat, ramps up thermogenesis, and over time may actually convert beige fat cells into true brown fat, building you a more powerful furnace. Here's the critical mistake most people make with cold. They try to be tough and resist the shiver. Don't. The shiver is the point. The shiver is what triggers the succinate release. If you just sit in an ice bath, stone-faced and muscled through it, you're actually short-circuiting the mechanism you're trying to activate. The protocol that works is alternating between cold and slightly warmer temperatures. Get into cold water, whatever temperature genuinely makes you uncomfortable, which varies a lot from person to person, and stay until you start shivering. Then get out. Don't dry off. Wait 1 to 3 minutes and get back in. 3 rounds of that, 1 to 3 times a week, is a solid starting point. The rewarming process between cycles is actually what drives more intense shivering, which means more succinate, which means more brown fat activation. And here's a trap to avoid. Don't build your cold tolerance so fast that you stop shivering. The shiver is your signal that the process is working. The moment you become fully cold adapted and stop shivering, the fat burning benefit diminishes significantly. Let's shift to exercise. Rather than arguing about cardio versus weights, the most useful framework here is intensity. Low, moderate, or high. And the science has finally landed on a pretty clear picture. High-intensity exercise burns mostly stored carbohydrates during the actual workout. But afterward, your post-exercise oxygen consumption stays elevated for up to 24 hours, and during that window, your body preferentially burns fat, not carbs, so the fat loss happens after the session. On the flip side, long moderate-intensity exercise, think a solid 60 to 90-minute jog, burns a higher percentage of fat during the session, but tends to burn more carbs in the recovery window. Both approaches work. The sweet spot? Start with high-intensity movement, then transition into moderate sustained effort. If you can do that in a fasted state, meaning you haven't eaten for at least 3 or more hours beforehand, you reduce circulating insulin enough that your body shifts toward fat oxidation faster. That switchover from burning glycogen to burning fat happens earlier when insulin is low. If training fasted isn't your thing, that's fine. Just prioritize intensity over duration and know that getting to that fat burning zone is still achievable. Now for compounds worth knowing about. Caffeine, when you're adapted to it, does increase epinephrine release and shifts the fuel mix toward more fat oxidation during exercise. Around 200 milligrams taken 30 to 40 minutes before a workout is where most of the research points, roughly 1 to 2 cups of regular brewed coffee. Don't overdo it, and obviously check with your doctor if you have blood pressure concerns. Yerba mate is particularly interesting here. It stimulates GLP-1, a hormone in the glucagon pathway that facilitates fat oxidation in the mitochondria. Research shows drinking mate before exercise measurably increases the percentage of fat being burned, and even at rest, it has a metabolic boosting effect. Unlike straight caffeine, it tends to produce a smoother, more even energy without spiking heart rate as intensely. If mate is too earthy for your taste, guayusa is a milder, slightly sweeter option from Ecuador that works through a similar pathway. And then there's L-carnitine, specifically acetyl L-carnitine. Once fatty acids are mobilized and inside a cell, L-carnitine helps physically move them into the mitochondria so they can be converted into energy. Without enough carnitine, that conversion slows down. Supplementing anywhere from 500 milligrams to 2 grams per day in divided doses has been shown to improve fat oxidation rates, with additional benefits like reduced exercise fatigue and lower inflammatory markers. It's not magic, but it's mechanistically sound and well supported in the research. So here's your complete picture. Build the foundation. Quality sleep, sufficient EPA, gut health through fermented foods, and thyroid support through selenium. Activate your nervous system's fat-burning network through NEAT. Keep your body in low-level motion throughout the day, not just during workouts. Use cold exposure with intentional shivering to build your internal furnace and activate brown fat thermogenesis. Train at high intensity first, then transition to moderate sustained effort, ideally fasted if your lifestyle allows it. And consider the compounds that work with your biology: caffeine, mate, or guayusa, and carnitine, rather than against it. Your nervous system isn't working against you. It's waiting for the right signals. The question is whether you're going to send them. Here's your challenge this week. Pick just one thing from today's episode and actually apply it. Not all of it, one thing. Maybe you deliberately pace for 5 minutes every hour at your desk. Maybe you end your shower cold and let yourself shiver for 60 seconds. Then come drop a comment below and tell us what you tried and what you noticed. I read every single comment, and your real-world experiments make this community smarter. If you want more of this kind of deep dive, science-backed content, hit that subscribe button because we're just getting started. Growth is not accidental, it's intentional. If you're ready to build a better version of yourself, welcome. Stay tuned.